Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are on our third day of the Intuition Playbook for 2023. I'm so excited to share some more information and give you some guidance and tools and some insights, some things to kind of put things together from the last couple of days. I know that you're all starting to join us from all over the place. So thank you. I know this is a school day for a lot of people. You're working, you're trying to make time for this. So thank you so much. The question that I want to present is, why do you want to use your intuition? Why do you want to develop it? Because that really is what you're trying to base all this. What are you building upon? Why do you want to open that door? And what do you think is going to, what that intuition is going to bring for you? Um, I leaned into this over, going through some really hard times and found that I wasn't looking to develop my intuition. It was just I got to do something different. And from that, I was able to understand how energy works. So we're going to talk about that again today. We're also going to revisit a little bit about, the first 2 days and what we touched on as little reminders and how important those things are to bring into your everyday life as you decide to build upon your intuition so you can utilize it. When I was thinking about intuition, we've talked about it being a muscle that you want to use on an everyday life, and that muscle helps you make your life better. It's not about giving you clarity. It's not about giving you any guarantees, but about what it does to help support you. And I was thinking about how I think most of us have done this, where we buy that piece of workout equipment and we're all ready to get ourselves healthy. And we want to, especially in the beginning of the year, and you want to, work yourself to be healthier and to be able to have more energy and to feel more fit. And then it ends up in the corner with a lot of maybe dirty laundry or things that you need to do or things you need to get rid of. And that's what happens with the intuition, is sometimes we don't realize the value of it and how it can really make our life better. So you want to think about it being a product or an instrument or a tool that you were born with. You were born to use this muscle to be able to have a better life. And it isn't about giving you those, lottery numbers and things like that, but just to give yourself more ease. And what I find when people are developing their intuition, I see confidence. I feel that they have less fear. Actually, their grief gets better when they have lost a loved one. When they start working through their intuition, they have another tool, and that is to help them with their grief. It allows them to learn to respond to things and situations, because we're not going to get out of lessons. We're not going to get out of things happening in our lives. But intuition helps us to be able to make really solid, good decisions and choices so that our lives are a little bit easier and we feel like, wow, I've got some control and some power with where my life is going. So that's what we're going to talk about today as we revisit a little bit about the last 2 days. But anyone want to say hi or any shout outs before I kind of talk about this? And we can go back and forth, of course.
Sure.
If you are watching this and not live with us as well, Dana is behind the camera.
Hi.
And she will be showing her beautiful face one more time today and sharing. But she's going to do some shout outs right now.
Yeah, people are still joining,
Yeah,
but
that's what we want.
Type in where you're from, and I'm trying to catch everybody's name on here too. So if you entered in your name, it'll pick up in the platform here. But I'm kind of going back and forth. We have Janice. She's from San Jose, California.
Yeah, I love San Jose. And you're getting lots of rain. So get out your boat and your your life preservers and get out there and be safe, please, for sure.
Nicole says, when you start to realize your lessons, how the heck can you relax a bit and maybe excel at them?
Yeah, that is the key. Absolutely the key.
Mike Gibbons, he's down in Parker,
Mike.
Colorado.
With the alpacas.
Yeah. Patricia, she's saying hello. And 2022 was not so good. She said, really need to tap into my intuition better so I can understand the do's and don'ts and set boundaries.
Yes, that's one of the big things that we teach in our class.
Yeah. We've got Angela down in Austin.
One place that we want to go visit.
Yeah. Lise down in Texas. Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Deb Center's on, lots of
Hey,
students
Deb,
on.
lots of
Thanks for
students.
joining
Thank you,
today,
guys. Yeah.
Denise Wood, I think she's out in Monterey. If I remember right, just saying hi.
We love Monterey.
Sydney is on.
Yay,
Hello.
Sid.
So,
Yes. Hello.
We've got Margot from New York, Bonnie from Gilbert, Arizona.
It just amazes me.
It's very cool.
It is.
It really
all these
is.
Different individuals that show up. And
where is Adelaide, Marianne? Tell me where Adelaide is.
I truly am in awe. I grew up with 3 TV channels, and I was my parents' remote control, so that takes you back a little bit. And when we look at that kind of technology, I always tell Dana it's easier for me to connect with people who crossed over than it is for our technology sometimes, because it's a lot more, you have to have a lot more hands-on than our intuition. And I think the one person that talked about the lessons, I think what helps with your intuition is seeing those patterns and getting some clarity about what did I do in the past and what do I want to do differently and how much energy I want to put into it. And what we talked about on the first day of this class and then the second day is the first day was all about, you're born with this GPS, your own guided system. And through time, through life, through experiences, through society, whatever those beliefs are, we turn that off because we think that what's outside of us is what we need to go by. And so we really stop listening to our own GPS. So what you're going back to is that equipment that you had when you were born to go, wait, I need to listen to this because this doesn't feel right. And I've heard a lot of stories where people were questioning their parents or teachers or their religion about certain things that didn't feel right, but they were shut down. So when they're shut down, they just stop, like they still want to question, but it doesn't feel right. And that's really what your intuition is, okay, you're telling me this, but it doesn't make sense to my soul. And it might make sense to them, but what your radar is, what your intuition is, you've got to have different answers. You have to have a different way of looking at things. And it's okay for you to ask those questions. And everything I've taught in my mentoring program is I'm going to give you some guidance. I'm going to tell you what I've learned or what I have taught over the years. But I would never tell anyone that you have to listen to what I'm telling you. To me is you've got to take different parts and pieces to figure out what works for you. And I don't think that everyone is supportive of that. So that's where the conflict comes from, your intuition and what's around us. So that's how we, need to learn to just go within and take those deep breaths. And that's what we talk about meditation. That quiet time is so that you can really look at what you are believing and why it makes sense to you, even though it may not make sense to other people. Your intuition isn't about having other people agree. Your intuition is about how you find your own compass through your own personal journey. The other thing we talked about is looking at things differently, trying things that are differently, paying attention to your surroundings. We had a couple of people that reached out and told us that they had dreams or they started seeing numbers. That's the universe. That's the language of the universe coming back and saying, you know what, you're not hearing me here, so I'm going to show you something. I'm going to give you a visual so that you can search it, understand what those messages are. It's out there. The universe did not stop speaking to you. It's that we stop listening and we get very distracted and we have a to-do list. We feel like we have all these things we need to do, and we feel like we're responsible for other people, or that we have this to-do list, or we worry about judgment. And now with social media, if you're a person that's on it, if you're not getting likes or you're not getting accepted or those kind of things, we feel like we're doing it wrong. Well, that's their GPS. That's their path. That's their journey. Your process, your journey, your path is going to look different than somebody else's. And so we don't want to look at, maybe the word is equal is what I'm getting. We don't want to compare. And that's what we do. We compare, well, they have that, they must be happy. Every single person has their own path, their own journey, their own lessons, all the things that they need to learn. So what they're learning is going to be different than yours. So that comparison is just going to be, it's like, again, throwing the dirty laundry on your workout equipment. You're not using it or utilizing it, which I think is a great way because we've all seen that. We've all had that equipment, right? Also, we talked about yesterday is the left and right brain. So that left brain is that logic, the analytical, the one that's the problem solving. It also gives you a lot of fear. It tells you, wait a minute, are you sure you want to do that? That left brain sometimes needs to get in the back of the car or even the trunk of the car and not give their input. You know how the person that always wants to give you advice when you don't want it, it's unsolicited, they want to tell you what to do. That's the left brain. The left brain is great for when you pay taxes. It's great when you have to do something analytical, but it wants to bring up the negativity. It wants to bring up the fear. It wants to be the Debbie Downer. The left brain is what you don't want to rely on when it comes to using your intuition. So that's what we're going to talk about, a little bit more about the right brain today. The important thing to think about too is using your intuition doesn't stop you from learning or having things that happen to you, but what it does is it helps provide a cushion or a soft place to land because you have this other knowledge and you feel like you do have somewhat of a support system. And I think so many people that I hear say, I just feel like I'm doing this alone. I feel like I'm doing all the work and I don't have a support system. When you use your guides, the universe, whatever you want to call it, that really helps because they come through and begin to support you. And it's like, woo, the heavens open up and you feel like you've got that support system that you maybe not always have in your daily life. So that's the really great thing. Did you have some more shout outs or people saying anything?
Just people sharing a little bit, which is
Good.
great.
Yeah.
We have Lori saying, betrayal keeps showing up for me. Blue was my color on day one relating to using voice, but I feel I am not sure if right side pain is associated to understanding.
Right side of your body is all about moving forward and masculine energy. So if you've been betrayed by male or masculine energy, that is about moving forward, creating boundaries, seeing your value. So great question, great aha, and great. Yeah, great. That's great. And that you understand that the blue is your voice. So perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's great alignment.
And then Kristen says, thank you for confirming that the journey is different for everyone, affirming that we can take pieces and parts of the lesson instead of everything that's presented.
Yeah, I was raised in a very, I'm going to say cult-like religion, and it was this way or the highway. And when I've gone through this process of learning, I tell everybody, whatever you believe or whatever you have done in your life or what you feel is your go-to, keep it. I have no right, nor does anyone else say you can't use that. That's up to you. And what is beautiful about that is there's a variety of things to embrace. And from starting this journey to where I am today, I've changed a lot of how I believed. And I think that's because we continue to grow. And I think that's important to say, this is not in cement. This is not, 100%. So thank you for backing that up. The other thing I think is important is finding the courage, because when you're looking for being independent and you feel like your path is different than somebody else, you have to have courage to say, I'm not doing it that way. I'm going to do it my own way. That is your intuition cheering you on, going, yes. When you do that, that's when you have some aligned people. You start feeling aligned with people because you're just saying, this is what's right for my soul. When you're doing this work completely by yourself, that's what can be really hard. So you really are looking for like-minded individuals to say, yes, they're not telling you that it validates them. It's about validating what you need to do and what lessons you need to learn and what wisdom that you are wanting to learn. That's basically it. So when I came back with the question is, what do you want to use your intuition for? That's a huge question. I know a lot of people will say, well, I've read those books and I've taken a class and I've been practicing this and I've been doing meditation, but I don't feel like my intuition is still on target where I want it to be. So did you have someone else wanted to say something? No. Okay, she's reading, so I want to make sure. So I want you to think about a couple questions to ask yourself, because what I find is when people are trying to develop their intuition, there's resistance on how to do this. So these are some of the things that I think are important. And I'm going to kind of read some of them so I make sure I address them correctly. Are you willing to be open to a different outcome when you have plans? So in intuition, we think, okay, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to create. And your intuition says, well, maybe we're going to close these doors and open this door. If you constantly try to go to that other door because you feel like that's the way to go, your intuition is not going to serve you. So I'm going to give you a quick example because everything is energy. And that's how I began this journey. Going through a really difficult time, my girlfriend told me about feng shui. And if you are not familiar with it, it's a practice about where you put things in your home, in your office, and how the flow of energy is. And when I started learning feng shui, I wanted my husband to go find his career again as an executive for this big company. And it wasn't working. I wanted it to go this direction. And when I really started understanding how energy worked, it was about me learning how energy works. And each of you, even though if you may not say you're intuitive or you're trying to open that door, you're practicing your intuition, we all know and feel it. So if you're an empath or you're just a sensitive person, you can walk into a meeting and you can feel like there's some tension here. Or maybe someone that in your family comes home and you can tell whether they're really happy or they're struggling. You can talk to someone on the phone, you can feel it. You can be at the grocery store and be at the checkout or ask for assistance, and you can feel like someone is overwhelmed. You are feeling that energy intuitively already. So you're already tuned in. You're already feeling like, how should I respond? Should I say anything? Should I back away? What is it that I need to do? Because that's what people do. It's like, oh, I don't think they're doing very well. How am I going to show up? I've always kind of felt that, but I didn't know that it was psychic or intuition energy. When I started studying feng shui, I realized everything is energy. Everything. And that's what's important is energy has power. And so if you're at a place where, oh, I want to be intuitive, but this is the outcome I want, your intuition is just going to be like the workout equipment that you just threw some clothes on. So that's what you want to look at. The second question is, do you listen when others share and respond to what they say, or are you already ready to give your response? So a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this, when someone starts telling you a problem, before they finish, are you already thinking about what they need to do? Are you already to how to respond to them? Are you thinking about your situation? If you want to listen to your guides, you sort of need to shut the you know what up. We have a tendency to problem solve and go to our left brain versus really listening to what we need to know. So start practicing. If someone is sharing a problem with you, wait till they're done, repeat back anything they just said so that you know without a doubt you're listening. We are not good listeners. And I will put myself on that because doing this for a living and I already feel someone's energy, I want to automatically respond when really we're there to listen and be present. We call it holding space. Just be present. If that is something that you have a tendency to do, you may feel challenged trying to hear from your guides and your intuition. Did you have anything to say, or just agreeing?
I'm agreeing.
Agreeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this on both days, 1 and 2. Are you open to trying new ideas? I think we're all kind of guilty of this, where there's an issue coming up, or we want to, change some sort of issue in our life or a problem that's going on, but we're not willing to really make a big change. I know sometimes they go, well, you can do 1 or 2 of these 3 things, and I go, yeah, I'm not really open to that. No, I'm not going to really try that. So if you're resistant to trying anything new, your intuition will probably be a little bit sluggish. It's not going to really inspire you. You're not going to feel it because, again, you still want to have some sort of control. You want to do it what's comfortable for you. And one of the things I'm sure all of you have heard is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is insanity. Your intuition is there to help you, give you inspiration, new ideas. When I look at people that write music or books or try to problem solve, or scientists or investors, whatever that is, they're bringing in new ideas. They're not looking at, oh, yeah, let's do what we've already done. We've already created the wheel. Let's do it one more time. So allow yourself to be inspired to try something new. That's Are you comfortable with your own habits and you don't do well with change? Does change make you uncomfortable? In my mentoring programs, I have students do things that are just very simplistic, but it is to make us a little uncomfortable so it becomes comfortable. One of the things that I did. I actually earned my black belt when I was 47 years old. I am not an athlete. I am really that person that has the workout equipment in the corner with the clothes on it. Okay. Working out, never been an athlete, not competitive. So for me, it took me 3.5 years to earn my black belt. I thought by the end I'd be like this ninja, right? But I did it because it was 3.5 years. My children were doing it. If I quit, I knew that that gave them permission to quit. So part of it is doing something different, pushing yourself a little bit, having the courage for change, experimenting things that are outside your radar so that you can open up yourself to something that is from the universe. The universe is like, oh yeah, you've already done that. I'm not going to help you do that a little bit more. You're already comfortable. I don't want to make you more comfortable. So it is being a little uncomfortable to make that change.
But beautiful things happen when you
Yes,
open yourself up.
absolutely. If you're in this class and you want to know and you want to do this, it is making those observations. Also, if things don't go your way, are you frustrated? Poor Dana, she puts up with me. I'm like, especially when it comes to technology. But if things in life, if you have a plan and you want things to evolve a certain way and you get frustrated, can you sit back a little bit, take a deep breath, and go, maybe something better is going to happen than I had already planned. And that's when you become aligned in a partnership with the universe and your intuition. Things actually turn out better than what you expected. So you can have, if you're a person that's controlling or like to have the plans, or your left brain is, okay, this is how it's going to work. Are you open to possibilities that are much bigger and much more valuable than the way you thought about it? Any questions from anyone yet? Are we doing okay?
We're doing great.
Okay. So the one thing to work on your right brain to get that right brain more active is being creative. So I'm not a singer. I can dance when no one's watching. I'm not a painter, but creativity, it will be your best friend when it comes to helping your intuition. And we think, well, what are people going to think? I don't have time. And what does creativity mean? I don't care if you go to Michael's and buy a kit, or you paint by number, or you do those adult coloring books where you're, not naked people, but, just adult coloring books. Anything that works on your creative side, cooking, baking, candle making, I don't care what it is. The more you work on your right brain, the more your intuition begins to blossom. That's how it works. So your left brain is the one that all that problem solving, that analytical, the hard stuff, we do need that, but we really need our right brain in order to nourish and grow that intuition. So we've all heard the term, the yin and yang, the balance, and that's really what you're looking for. And the more you create, the more you work on that development of your creative side, it is amazing. So if we go back to being a kid, which was quite a long time ago, we were told fairy tales. We were told stories. We had this imagination. We used it for holidays. We used it for, when we were in school and we had to tell a story. We used it for playtime. We stopped doing that, and that's where intuition went. It faded. So bringing back that creativity and giving yourself permission to have that playtime, that's when it becomes activated. It grows. You're almost like putting that fertilizer on it and watching it expand. So whether you love music, you love painting, you love cooking, any of those things are going to really benefit that right brain. And that's the beauty of it, because it goes outside the box. It goes outside the problem solving. And I know all of us, when we get a little bit stuck and we feel like we can't find the answers, we go for a walk, or we, read a book, or we do some laughter, that's when the ideas come. Solutions come when we are able to walk away from the heaviness of something to open up our creativity. That's what the universe goes, oh, now you just opened the door for me to communicate with you. Let me show you what you can do. Let me help you problem solve. So it's about being creative and having some fun. Yeah. We have a couple guests like we did yesterday, because the one thing I want everyone to know is I've been teaching and doing this work for a really, really long time. The value comes, does this really work? Does it really help people? The people that come to me to help them find their path and help them find their empowerment, for them to find their voice, for them to learn their lessons, everyone comes with a different background. Everyone comes with a different belief. They all come for different reasons. And the reason we like to have them share is so that without a doubt, it's there's success behind these stories, that them putting these things in place does change their lives. And I want you to be hopeful that it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the first guest, she's going to come on with us. I think she's ready.
Is she?
I think so. So let's bring on Gretchen. She's already smiling. She's
I love Gretchen.
Online green room, but she's going to share a couple stories, and she's going to talk about overcoming some things and some breakthroughs that she's had using these exact tools.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we had someone earlier talk about, having to believe in what other people say, that
Mm-hmm.
it's that way or the highway. And this is what is so beautiful about having Gretchen on, because of her when she came on.
Yeah. Okay. Here she is. Hi.
Hi.
You're live with Deb.
Hi, girlfriend.
So I guess maybe start by telling everybody just a tiny tidbit about yourself, and maybe a reason why you decided to do some mentoring with Deb, and then overcoming fear a little bit and what you had to overcome.
So I've watched Deb since like 2020, like 2000, or about 20 years, I think. And always knew that she was very accurate, that she was the real deal. And went to some gallery readings, worked with people who actually did readings with her. I'd phone in when I was fearful of whatever was going on and I needed advice, and I'd call in and get to talk to her on the radio. And but I was raised really strong Christian beliefs, and I was afraid to do a reading. And it's kind of expensive, so you can make this excuse to not go forward. At least that was my excuse. And about 2019, I had hit so many roadblocks that I couldn't find my way out. I had a mom with Alzheimer's who kept getting worse and worse and having to move her, a sister who wound up homeless, who has 4 children, who's also drug and alcohol and mental health issues. And I kept seeing this, like things from Deb would pop up, and I think, oh, I want to do that. But, it's not like you think lightning's going to strike you, but you kind of do.
I like that comment. I love it.
Seriously stupid, but so for me, that was my reality. And finally, I just was like, I didn't know where to go or what to turn. I was just so stuck. So I reached out, I want to say like in October or November of 2019, did a reading, and it really, she's so amazing, and just really helped me to understand that my mom and my sister were on their own path, and that part of my path was connecting to theirs, and like learning my lessons that way. And so then
You can tell we have like a language.
We do. I love it. Because that was not Gretchen's language before. So I love it.
Oh, no. I didn't even know how limited my beliefs were. Because, for instance, when Harry Potter came out, the church says, do not read those books. Well, I got married and my stepson had already read 3 books. What am I going to do? I'm going to read those books. And I just I look back at that and I think, geez, how stupid can that be? That's just ridiculous. And my old thinking was really ridiculous. And I'm so glad that Deb's pushed me, and she will push you. You will learn a lot. At first I thought I didn't know she did all these classes. So I did, the readings. And then I did another one, I want to say maybe April of 2020, which is about when COVID started hitting. And she started doing these great live readings and trying to help people that were like shut-ins have a community. And I was always different, but I didn't realize that there were a lot of other people like me. And what I've learned now from all the classes and the solutions classes, the soul contracts, is that there are so many different ways of thinking. There's so many different belief systems, and there's so much I can learn if I just move out of my fear.
Mm-hmm. And I love that, Gretchen, because it wasn't about me having you believe me, or it was taking what you believe and saying, is this where you want to go? Is this how you want to feel? And what I saw in transformation was you got this power behind you. You just got like confident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're completely different from the day we met you.
And
for sure.
Not that you were not great,
the same, but better.
But I just felt like you felt not like a fear-based, but you're more like, I don't have to like it, and I can like it. I can learn about it, but it doesn't mean it's a negative thing for me.
What I learned from my classes was, because you can just ask Deb. There were a lot of times where I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't believe in that. I'm not trying it. And then I would try it. And then come to find out, we have these amazing, we call our group the Soul Sisters, these amazing women. Mm-hmm. And I want to get like all emotional that I would never have met if I hadn't been in these classes. And we challenge each other, and I realized, oh my God, a lot of people have a lot of different belief systems, and they are amazing. I have to look at opening myself up.
Mm-hmm. And what I love about that, Gretchen, too, is everyone's respectful of what you believe is the same time. Like, they're not trying to tell you, oh, Gretchen, you can. They're just they may laugh or joke at the same time. They're like going, okay, that's fine. If it's honoring. And that's what I want people to take away is you can blend whatever you believe, but unless it's not serving you, if it's taking your power away, if it's making you have fear, if it's taking away your ability to have a voice, then that's where the challenge is. And I still don't tell you to change it. I say, I want you to look at, is this supporting you?
So has your intuition changed from over the last 2 years?
Oh my gosh. I always knew that I didn't know how to really explain it. I just was different, and I had a lot of messages, and sometimes I just didn't understand it. All the exercises that we go through, and being around Deb and Dana, who are literally the most loving people I have ever met in my life. Seriously.
Dana's the nice one. I'm the push one.
You do push.
Yeah.
You do push. But for anybody that is, I was afraid, what if the devil comes in or whatever? And it's like, there's so much light around you guys because of the love that you share with each other, for all of us. And you just exude that. So you bring this positive light to us to help us realize every electronic is not my enemy. That there is reasons that I get these messages, and I really ought to pay attention to them, because when you do, you'll stop hitting the stone wall.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's exactly it. And for those that don't know the backstory, Gretchen, her energy affects electronics, and she works on electronics. And when we started talking about how this happens, she would put rocks, and part of it is this understanding that you can be frustrated, but energy is energy. And I think it helped you a little bit to be more patient. Do you think, Gretchen?
I think, yeah, because I understand it better. Like, Mercury's in retrograde, tomorrow's a full moon. I know what's going to happen. I have my tools. I have my malas. I have an awareness, so that I'm not freaking out and frustrated for no reason.
And you have a full toolkit from the last couple of years too, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah.
And Gretchen gave us, well, a couple of the ladies, including Gretchen House, gave Jane and I a party after we got married. So, but I think really, Gretchen, one of the reasons we wanted you to share too is because if people are on the fence regarding their own intuition and developing it and thinking that this is against their faith, that you realize that it's not against what you believe.
It adds to
It adds to what you believe.
I think really how I kept seeing all these things about you was God trying to say, Gretchen, get out of your own way. Get over there and start learning. Because I didn't know that you had these classes. And if somebody also is concerned about how much it costs, that was a concern for me. And it's the best investment I've ever made in myself. And I'm so used to taking care of everybody else. I needed to start learning to take care of me.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And we became great friends. That's our bonus. Our benefit. Thank you, Gretchen, so much. Yeah, thank you.
I know Deb has more to teach, but thank you for coming on
thank you.
Chat about intuition.
And for those that are watching, the reason I'm smiling so much is watching people begin this journey and where people are in this place of a lot going on, confusion, a lot of pain, a lot of grief, their faith, whatever, is all those things that do affect our intuition. And so even though I'm giving very simplistic things, if you take these simplistic topics I'm giving you, such as doing something different, take those deep breaths, don't try to control, understand that fear is your left brain. What will happen is your intuition will naturally come back, because that's what you're doing. You're naturally bringing that back. All that limiting belief, all those fears are what you collected over your lifetime. And going back to that organic person, that soul that you were, is what you're seeing these students that are sharing. And them sharing is really about, if you can identify with where they are, and now they can say to you, yes, my intuition is aligned and I'm doing really well, that it is possible. And when you see someone like myself, they go, oh, you do this all the time. This is what you do. I realized intuition when I was going through a really hard time. And I find that when people are searching, that's when their intuition goes, I need to do something different. And that's exactly what Gretchen and Stacy was saying yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to bring Dawn on?
If you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Dawn too. Yeah, bring in Dawn.
Dawn is a famous actress, and you can see her on national television commercials. And we happen to have a humongous picture of her in our airport here in Denver. At DIA. You walk out and there's a big, huge Dawn.
Isn't it in Concourse B, Dawn?
Yes, when you get off the train.
Yeah. So when you go there, you go, that's Dawn. I know Dawn personally.
She's on a ton of national TV commercials. We see her all the time.
Yeah.
So we're lucky also as well to have Dawn in this
fantastic
group.
Dawn came into this journey for very different reasons.
She did.
Do you want to share, Hen?
Yeah, I did. My intuition and all that was very secondary. And now it's funny because it's not, now it's right up front, but I had listened to Deb for years. And I'd always call my best friend and say, she's on again. You've got to listen. You've got to listen. And a lot of times she'd finish and tell me what happened, because my son would be in the car and I'd be like, get out the car. I want to finish and listen to what she's saying. And so it always broke my heart to listen to all these people that had lost somebody when they loved. And I would always think about, those poor people, never thinking that one day I would be one of those poor people. And my grief was so deep that I will be honest and say I considered suicide, because I just could not get past the grief. And I had seen that Deb was going to be having one of her classes or events. And I called my best friend to come with me, and we went to it. And my husband came through, and I was so moved by it, I couldn't even stand up. They had to call my best friend to come and help me and hold me up, because it confirmed that my husband was okay and that he wanted me to be okay. But Deb told me things that nobody knew, that you didn't know unless you had come to my house and you saw where his ashes were, sleeping, just different things. And I thought, this is really the real deal. And part of me gave me such comfort to know that he was fine, and that he wanted me to be fine too. And then and I was still, my grief was still really, really deep, but I would go see Deb every now and then and tell me things. And like Gretchen said something about the cost. And I was going to a grief counselor, and what I was grief counselor, and for what the grief counselor was telling me, it was like, why am I spending all this money for somebody who, every time I tell her I'd hear voices, or Brittany would talk to me, she looked at me like I was like she wanted to have me committed. Like, like, and, or if I would tell her, and so when they were gonna start the mentor, I talked to Deb a couple times about mentoring, because I thought that would really be helpful too with my grief. And when Deb was putting together the class, and she had called me and told me about the class, getting through COVID, when Deb would have the Wednesday classes or the happy hours, and I was a shut-in. I lived by myself. I was just 2 years into my losing my husband after he had been sick for 3 years. So I really was alone, and that really got me through. So I have to tell you, and Dana, thank you so much for those. So then you talked, and I'd gone to some of your classes. And then when you talked about this mentoring program, I thought to myself, I don't think I want to do that, because I don't know if I want to go that deep. I'm still full of grief. And you were the one that reminded me that I was basically calling you like every 4 months and saying, when are you going to do the program? So I signed up for it.
Last second.
Yeah, last person to sign up at the last second. And I will tell you something, it's the best thing that I've ever done for myself and for people around me, because I know that I've become a different person. One of my things is I could be very judgmental, and I'll say things when I'm not supposed to, and I react to things, and I don't react. I react to things so much differently. I can feel different. I will go somewhere and I'll see something. In the past, I would just overlook it or be like, oh, that's just whatever, this. And now it's like these signs are all around me. And I think they've always been around me, but I didn't really have the glasses. And it's like Deb gave me the glasses to be able to see and to understand what was really happening around me. Mm-hmm. And I look at my life now and I think, how did I ever not be part of this group? And I feel that the people that I wouldn't do it. I hope I would never do it. But there's not one person in my group who, most of these people, there's absolutely no way I would have met any of them. And I feel like there's not one of these people who at 2:00 in the morning, if I'm a really tough evening, that I couldn't pick up my phone and they wouldn't get in their car and drive down to New Mexico. Not Deb and Dana. I feel like I've lifelong friendship and sisterhood and family of people that really, really understand, because we're all going through it. And you can call and tell somebody, well, I saw this, whatever, and they won't think you're crazy.
That's true.
That's true. They're like, this is what happened. They're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing was the grief. I think that people give you a timeline of how you're supposed to feel at a certain point. Like, it's kind of like, oh, come on, it's been 6 months. He was sick for 3 years. Didn't you expect it? And my community of soul sisters, and and there were other people, but it's like I feel like I could say something to people on the anniversary of his passing, or people will reach out to me. Like almost every one of my soul sisters reached out to me in the passing, and it's like they understand, they get it. We've been through the path together. I feel like even when they talk about my husband, I feel like they know him. I feel like, I've been through this journey with him, and he had passed, 3 years before I even joined this group. And I almost said cult because I laughingly I laughingly said when I first started going to classes, like, God, these people really drank the Kool-Aid. They're really,
They love Deb.
yeah, they loved Deb. It's like, what? I mean, she's great. But now why they drink the Kool-Aid. And I'm, Deb and Dana are such a great team. And I feel like, one of them's always available. And I just feel like this has been one of the greatest blessings of my life.
Oh,
And we did not realize when we got married, the day we got married was his birthday, was your husband's birthday.
It was October 3rd, and you were in a place where his favorite picture that we ever took.
Yeah. And there was a whole alignment, which we didn't even know. And that's what happens when you are aligned with people. And that was one of my things. I don't care who you find as your support system, but when you have people that are understanding energy and they understand grief, and as you know, we support each other without telling everyone what to do, that alignment, just, you can say, I saw this, or this is what I felt. And I know there were times that you thought about not drinking the Kool-Aid in one of the classes. And now it's one of your more powerful signs, is something that happened that has been a divine message since we've known you. So when you go through it, sometimes you're like, why is this happening? Or what? It gives you that clarity and it gives you that empowerment.
So I do have a question, Dawn. What do you think would be your biggest breakthrough since realizing the power of your intuition?
Oh, wow. My biggest breakthrough, gosh, I think there's so many, but I think with me is being able to read people better, and which is huge, and knowing what people I should be around and what people really care or want the best for me and for my.
Don't you think it's sort of like a compass of what you want to bring into your world and what you want to have a close boundary? Like, this is not going to work. I'm not going to lean into this because people think I should. I'm going to listen to what I know in my gut.
Exactly. It's like the door shut. Don't even try to, walk towards it or try to knock on it. It's just like, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, I think that I've always had good intuition, but I didn't listen to it because I didn't know how to listen to it.
Or why you should listen to. I think that's the other thing too, is sometimes is that we have that voice, but society or whatever, we still ignore it.
Well, and like the other night, I couldn't sleep, and I got up to use the restroom. I looked at my watch, and it was 3:33. 3 is my number.
Yeah.
4 years ago, or 3 years ago, before I started the class, I would have been like, oh God, I wish I could go back to sleep. I'm so tired. Now, as I see these signs and I pick up and I know what they, know what they mean, or that the world's talking to me.
Yeah.
And I think so many people live their lives with so many things passing them by. And I just think that that's really sad. And then I think what's really great about this too is that I've had some of my greatest learning moments from watching what my classmates and my soul sisters have learned.
Yeah.
I mean, Gretchen was talking, and Gretchen was talking about her limiting beliefs. And I remember a couple of times in class when she would say something, I'd think to myself, oh, Gretchen. Now Gretchen will say to herself, oh, I'm not going to believe that. I'm not going to go down there. So it's been, and same thing with Stacy and all my soul sisters. It's just been incredible seeing how all of us have started this journey and where we are all now. I remember the first assignments you gave me, and I thought to myself, what the hell is she drinking? And then I did it, and I thought, this is why, because I questioned everything, but I didn't question it to be for why was better? Why is it good for me? I questioned it because I'm a rebel.
No,
she is. No, and I'm glad you're saying that, because as I'm talking about these 3 days, that's why I said, are you resistant? And that resistance is, I don't want you not to be a rebel. I'm okay with you questioning me. But if you want your life to look different, then maybe trying something new that isn't risky can help you understand.
Well, Well, and it's also believing and trusting.
Yeah.
I trust you, and I trust the soul sisters and Dana, because I know that your intentions for me are really good.
Yeah.
And that's how our group is, and that's where we come from, a place of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think the rebel part of me is going away, because I don't always need to question stuff. I know that people's intentions aren't bad for me.
Right. Right.
Oh,
I
now
love it.
intuition.
I think both you and Gretchen came up with other different where people are coming from. So if you're highly religious or your belief systems are, fear-based, and for you being the rebel and not wanting to do the program because of intuition, but to help with your grief, there's different reasons why people are looking for how to develop that sixth
Intuition.
sense,
Mhm.
that intuition.
Thank you, Dawn. We
Thank you,
appreciate
thank
you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Oops, she got cut off a little bit. She has a problem with her internet where she is a little bit too. Do you have any questions from our audience about what is being shared to make sure?
Well, we have several questions about the solution. So I think it'd be great to share it, but I know you might have some.
No, go ahead and share that part of the solutions, and then I want to wrap this up. But if you have questions in the meantime, put them on there so we can answer, because the whole thing, the 3 days of just the 45 minutes that I'm sharing, books you've read, classes you've taken, I think it's really questioning yourself. And that was part of today, is where are you in developing your intuition, and what is it that you're wanting to do with your intuition? Because that will help you decide if, where the challenges are for that. Did you want to come over here so people can see your pretty face?
Well, I can come over there.
Yeah, come on over.
So we've had lots of questions, so I'm just hoping to ask, I'm hoping everybody's okay. So are you okay with us sharing a little bit about solution? And I'm assuming you are, because we've had lots of people asking about it, and I've had a lot of phone calls as well. But we've covered a lot of information. Deb has covered a lot of information over the last 3 days. And the question is, what do you do in order to spend the next 6 months with Deb and with
us?
So
kumbaya around the fire is what we're going to do.
So the benefits of solution is you are connected with like-minded people in a community with Deb as your guide, more purpose to your life. You're able to dive into what your actual life purpose and your sacred contracts are. Diving into more security and less instability in your life, less uncertainty in your life, and less stress, because you feel better when you're tapped into your intuition. It's a way for you to be tapped into the divine, into the source, and you're able to get that information from your guides, so you feel like you're connected, which leads to less stress and more confidence, which you talked about that too. And Gretchen talked about that as well, is more confidence. Stacy talked about that yesterday too.
I don't think that Dawn needed more confidence. Maybe a little bit.
But really the solution is not like any other program out there, because a lot of people out there have invested a lot of money, a lot of time into other spiritual or personal development things over the years, but you find yourself getting stuck in the same patterns, in the same exact place that you were before you read that book, or before you did this other class, that, maybe you weren't able to take those things and stop those old patterns. But with the solution, there's a very specific process and methodology that you came up with, that you take people through, and you've helped thousands of people go through, from struggling to having a deeply satisfying experience in life. So it's not just a rehash of old teachings. It's completely a program that you developed that helps people with your guidance. And it's not like you're a talking head, or it's not a video created. It's actually you teaching these classes, and you coming in and helping guide people through this process and through their life stuff.
And one thing I want to add to that is, even though we have a program set, your guides come through and they tell me stuff. So when Dawn and Gretchen and Stacy,
There's no hiding.
yeah. So, I do push. So your guides will come through. I'm like, hey, this is what you need to look at, or what we, uncover this, or what about that? And your guides will come through with stories of things that have not healed. So it's a program along with all your guides.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what
It is,
helps
yeah.
make it unique for you.
And then, and we have countless students who have these stories, and you've seen from 3 of them, but we have a couple that have had some really, really big impacts recently. Deb Bulk, for example, she just got proposed to. And when she first started this program, she had just lost her relationship.
After 20-some years.
After 20-something years, yeah. And she was really in a place of, what the heck do I do? And she went from that place to being very empowered within the year she spent with you. And she's in a new relationship. Not that that was her first thing, because it wasn't.
Mm-mm.
But because she put
her
this out
story,
there.
which is interesting, and this is intuition, paying attention. She said she was so distraught. She's in a checkout line at the grocery store, told that the relationship's ending. My class shows up on her feed in line as she's checking out. She signs up for the class. So that's paying attention
She
to
paid
the
attention.
universe. She goes, it's not working. I need to do something different.
And then I want to mention Valerie too, because recently Valerie's had some job transitions, and she worked with you in a private session, and you said, put it out there to the universe that this is what you need. And a day later or 2 days later,
That day,
she went, was it that day? She went up to Blackhawk and won like
$14,000.
Literally. She's texting us with the machine going on. She probably shouldn't have taken the picture, but she did. But it was just showing her that path, and she created that with her
manifesting.
Yeah. So if you decide to join Solution, and the link is in the comments, I'll put it in the comments here on Facebook in a minute, but our promise to you is, if you join, this is going to be the best program you've ever joined, and it is life-changing. And if for some reason you feel like it's not the best program you've ever joined, reach out and we will take care of you.
Yeah, and the other thing with this too is, we do a lot of stuff online. We're on Wednesdays. We do a lot of other stuff, but I really want you to go back and listen to these 3 days, because these are the basics, foundations, and whether you studied or not, is reapply them, because what I teach is always going back to the ground zero.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
So it's really, do you want to continue with the way things are, or do you want to live in that better, more purposeful place in your life? And so really, it's take a moment and imagine the possibilities and where you could be if you release the past and release the fear and step into moving forward with more alignment, more guidance,
A support system,
more
like your
support
community.
system, and all using your intuition.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the next step is to just go into the link that's in the feed, click on it, and you'll be able to read through. The doors are now open for Solution, officially open.
Short period of time.
Yes. And I'm going to go on the other side to make sure everything's okay, so you can wrap
Sure.
up.
And we only offer this once a year, and so this is why it's such a big deal for us to share this with you. But again, teaching, I love a stage. I love to be able to do medium work. I love giving people closure, those kind of things. It is certainly, I'm honored. I'm humbled. I'm always grateful. But teaching, listening to these people's stories and seeing them from the beginning to where they are today is gratitude and great blessing of them taking their energy, them taking their power, understanding it, and overcoming so many different obstacles. So go back and listen again to the last 3 days. Take down those notes and remind yourself, am I doing these things to create my intuition? Am I using it as the workout equipment that I'm throwing the laundry on? You really want to be able to use these things. You want to do something that brings a difference. So your assignments, be honest with yourself about how you see yourself and the world. And you heard this from especially Gretchen and Stacy, where they were saying where they were and what they thought and what they believed. And so Be honest. And if you have someone in your life that can say, well, I kind of see you being this way. Sometimes I know for myself, I'm like, no, that's not how I see it. And they're going, oh, yeah, that's how you are. Really being a parent of what that looks like so you can make whatever adjustments. If you truly desire to use your intuition, what will it take and what are you willing to do to allow it to come into your life? Are you willing to adjust to how you want things? Do you want to control it? Are you flexible? Are you willing to be creative and try something different? Paying attention to the energy around you. Number one is paying attention to how you feel and the energy around you. Be creative, be creative, be creative. If you're that left brain person, I don't care if you finger paint, I don't care if you do pottery, make candles, cook, you find a way to be creative because that is how your intuition opens up and it feeds your soul. And then again, intuition is not some magical out of body experience. And that's sort of what Gretchen was saying. It is who you are. It is that feeling. And so when you think about your intuition, pay attention to how you feel around people. If someone's bugging you, go, oh, that's my intuition. So when Dawn was saying, I respond differently, I react differently, where you want to use your energy? Do you hold on to what happened and continue it? Does it take your energy away? So remember that you were born with your own GPS. Society and everything out there removed parts of it. What you're doing is you're gathering those pieces back so that you can trust it and realize that it builds confidence. It helps with your grief. It helps you make solid decisions and move forward. It releases a lot of fear. So, however you choose to move forward, intuition is part of your soul. It's like your heart, it's like your lungs, it's like your brain, it's like all the pieces of your body. So I'm going to encourage you for 2023 is do what you can to start bringing back that intuition and taking the steps and action to actually utilize it because it can be there, but if you don't use it, what do they say? You lose it. That might be for something else. But bottom line is have that humor, have some fun and play with it and have a fabulous 2023 because I want everyone to feel that they feel really blessed and that they have this really content, happy life. Thank you so much for joining us.